Well, we're back after a week off. I kind of explained it on Out of Turn 4 why we weren't here on Sunday. Of course,
Mhm.
Jason and I had the fun or the pleasure of working a tournament this past week. So we worked a youth basketball tournament, and both of us had a lot of overtime at work. So, plain and
Yeah.
simply, we got home Friday, Saturday night. I was going to text him, like, hey, let's do a show. I'm like, no, I'm too tired. I don't want to do anything. So, just plain simple, we got tired. Nothing against you guys. We did have stuff we wanted to talk about, but again, just long week.
Right.
Had to prioritize what was a little more important at that point.
So I do want to say before I get to takeaways,
Yeah.
yes, of course we'll talk about it in the end of the show, but if you do go out, no final bell is just Marty. It's because I just didn't have the time to watch any wrestling. I'm like literally, I know this is bad for me to admit, I'm like literally 3 weeks behind.
Yeah. Well, it's fine.
I'm not going to worry about it. I will be back next episode 73 for Revolution and anything else that we're going to be talking about. So you will see my face. Fortunately,
Yeah.
you can't get used to
And
just learning too much. I'm going to try to be consistently on there, but there might be multiple times that it might just be Marty. I do appreciate him taking the opportunity to step up in my absence and doing the show still. So I do appreciate that. Shout out to Marty for making the episode 72 a reality and having more free time to be able to watch these shows. Must be nice to have 3 days off, but hey, it is what it is. But other than that,
yeah, and hey, so unfortunately,
I
you're
think
still stuck with me for Out of Turn 4, but I'll digress on that. For the time being,
that is
we're gonna
great
talk
show. At least
some.
you got me for this show for this week,
Yeah,
so I guess it makes up for it.
we will
Um,
talk about the NFL draft in this show, by the way, coming up. We'll talk about that in a second.
mhm.
Big news came out of Chicago. Sorry, before I let you get to your takeaways, just wanted to state
No, you're
what's coming
fine.
up. But now I'll let you take
We got a
over.
lot of, we got some basketball news, NFL and XFL news, as well as NCAA news. If anybody really wanted to know what was on the show before we get into the first half of the show, so this is a big shocker. A lot of fans, there's like, oh, get rid of Leslie Frasier, this and that and this. Well, we'll kind of get rid of Leslie Frasier, but it was more so his decision than the team's decision. Leslie Frasier is going to take a step back from coaching for 2023, looks to come back in 2024. This is a big, knockout punch to the Buffalo Bills, who is trying to stay relevant in the Super Bowl picture, trying to be that team to make it for the first time since the 90s. What do you have to say about this, Brian? Because honestly, I'm shocked. I'm appalled. I don't know what to say about Leslie Frazier taking a step back. Apparently, it's going to be Sean McDermott taking over defensive play calling for 2023. We also got another Carolina guy
Well,
coming in.
I think when you look at the fact that Eric Bieniemy had the bad reputation of basically inheriting Andy, or piggybacking off of Andy Reid's success. And I feel that a lot of people thought that about Leslie Frazier with Sean McDermott, piggybacking off a good defensive coach. So now I feel it's going to be a true testament for, to figure out who was it really, McDermott or Leslie Frazier. And it's going to be more so a test for the Bills than it is on the other end for the Chiefs with Matt Nagy now being their offensive coordinator. And keep in mind, yeah, we already know that it was all Andy Reid, because if you really believe that Matt Nagy is good on offense, you've really got to rewatch his time as Bears head coach.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess it's debatable for Matt Nagy. I mean, I want to see he had the greatest of years in Chicago, but I mean, look, for instance, wasn't Nagy
I mean,
the head coach during Mitchell Trubisky years?
yeah,
Look
he
what
was. And
so
Mitchell
Trubisky
Trubisky,
wasn't terrible in
yeah,
Chicago. He just
but
had
he
that one
made
year I think they
Trubisky,
made playoffs.
but he made Trubisky look dumber than he really was. I mean, he really is dumb as far as a quarterback goes, but he looked even dumber under Matt Nagy.
Well, I mean, he didn't look all super great in Pittsburgh either, but hey. But as far as this goes, it really does suck because Leslie Frasier and Sean McDermott have put together top 5 defenses
Hmm.
since his time in 2017, joining the team. I mean, I guess it could also be said that putting together great, having great players on that defense also does help it being a top 5 defense. But with a coach like Leslie Frasier helping that defense, it really does suck. But I will say that Sean McDermott is also probably another reason why it's been top 5, and they've shared play calling duties on that defense. So I don't think it's going to hurt too much for Leslie Frasier to take a step back because I think it can still be a top 5 defense. But the true testament is, well, you might not have Jordan Poyer because Jordan Poyer has been stating, I don't know how true it is, but apparently he wants to play in some warm weather. So I think his time in Buffalo is sure to be probably over unless they can a franchise tag or something like that.
Well, I think at this point, whether you're a Bills fan or not, you gotta face the cold hard fact that if Sean McDermott's going to take sole defensive responsibility, that you can no longer take pride in a top 5 defense if you don't have hardware to at least show for it.
Yeah, I know that's very true.
So we can stop, sitting here and saying, well, they had a top 5 defense. No, but did you get by the Chiefs? Did you get by the Bengals? Or,
No.
Frankly, we don't know yet, but LA could be on that list next year. Jacksonville's on that list as well.
Right. I'm going to say this now. It's great to have the kind of defenses you do, too. But if you don't score points on offense, as much as you can have the best defense out there, if you can't produce points on offense, you can have the greatest defense in the world. Because Miami has been building great defenses for years. But look at what they've done on offense. If you cannot produce points on offense, because this is a very high scoring kind of league, you can have the top 5 defense. It has been shown that if you don't have a high-powered offense, you're not going to be able to win games. It has been showed too many times in Buffalo. If Buffalo wants to be a juggernaut, they can put together as much of talent on that defense as they want.
And if
I get it, maybe losing Von Miller and losing Micah Hyde really did hurt. Don't get me wrong. And also having Tre'Davious White out with the knee issue too. Because you didn't have a fully healthy defense this year. You're getting into next year. You're gonna have Tre'Davious White fully healthy. You're gonna have Micah Hyde fully healthy. You're gonna have Von Miller fully healthy. So, this defense might be a lot better. I'm not saying that. Yeah. But
losing Poyer's
too.
Now I know.
Yeah, losing Poyer's gonna suck. I will admit.
Rich Eisen had said, of course, Rich Eisen got asked the question this week if he thought the window was closing for the Bills, and he had said, no, I don't think so. But let's face it, losing Poyer is just the beginning.
Yeah.
Because now, you're going to run into cap issues eventually. You're going to run into tough decisions. And
they already are heading into that decision. They're like $16 million over the cap this year, which means they got the. Yeah.
But let's also add in that if you lose again in the divisional round or you lose in the first round, now there's got to be more drastic talks because you see, Jacksonville's only going to tool up from here, and Jacksonville doesn't have to worry about Trevor Lawrence for 2 to 3 more years.
I know that's very
Okay?
true.
Joe Burrow,
And
it's a worry factor, but, it's not high concern yet.
true. Mind you, about Jacksonville, they're going to have Calvin Ridley. Yes, I understand he was suspended for a whole entire season, but you're going to have Calvin Ridley back heading into the next season, and you already saw how well that team was playing without him. Adding a Calvin Ridley to that team is only going to make them a lot better. Yes, I understand he has to get well acquainted to the Jacksonville system.
Well, I think he also has to re-sign, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not a guarantee.
I think he has to get reinstated with the NFL or something like that after the 1-year suspension. But
he's also technically a free agent, I do believe.
I'm pretty sure he's gonna re-sign with the Jacksonville Jaguars, but I think it was kind of like a few-year contract. I don't know. I think it's gonna officially start next year, that contract with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know the specifics, but other than that, I don't believe the rumors. I don't know if you've been seeing a lot of the rumors with Buffalo and DeAndre Hopkins. I don't see that happening. I hate to say it. So any Bills fans, just end those rumors now. It's not going to happen. He's not going to go unless somehow something magically happens where they clear enough cap space. It's just not going to happen. As far as my next point, the duo of Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic has been highly criticized. They haven't, don't have the greatest record ever since coming back. Well, they actually had their first best game together as a duo, since the trade, where both players scored 40 points and combined for 82 of the team's 133 points against the 76ers, which, by the way, 76ers are a pretty damn good team this year. They're fourth in the East, better than the Mavericks are right now at 33 and 21. They're like 40 and 20 something. So this is the first true test. I will say, if they can keep up with this chemistry and keep up with the scoring, I don't think they're going to be the most dangerous team in the West, but they're going to be a team that could make some moves and make some promise, maybe with a deep playoff run. But it was nice to see Kyrie and Luka actually playing well together and actually, passing the ball and getting involved. And this is I'm sure this is a teammate that Luka has wanted. This is the kind of guy that, if KP could have stayed healthy, could have been that kind of player. But Kyrie is, we already know the kind of player that Kyrie is. He's the best fourth, quarter player. It's even higher with the Dallas Mavericks. It was already 9.6 in his career, but now it's 10.1 fourth quarter points per game with the Dallas Mavericks, which is insane. And Luka has the best first and third quarter percentages, and you add Kyrie, that's already a high scoring offense. Yeah, they lack a little bit on defense, but if they can outscore you, they're going to be a dangerous team in the West if they can consistently get wins going. But it was nice to see that they began the first set of Dallas Mavericks teammates to each score 40 points in the game in franchise history, which is not a lot you can say, because not even Dirk and Steve Nash did that. Not even Dirk and Jason Kidd or Jason Terry did that. So to see Kyrie and Luka Doncic do that, that's freaking fantastic to see with the Dallas Mavericks. So congratulations to them both getting 40 points in that game.
Step in the right direction. Just how
it
much
is
time, do they have as far as this season goes?
Um, I mean,
I mean, we're a
it's in
month
the home
and a
stretch.
half
This
away.
is literally the second to last month of the season. You know, we have the rest of March, somewhat of April, and then we get into the playoffs. So we'll happen to see. Hopefully, they can make a stretch and win a whole bunch of games and get like a high seed in the playoffs. I mean, the West isn't really all that great this year. There's a lot of teams that have some crappy records that are like third, fourth, fifth place. So I think Dallas could get as high as third place, maybe. I will see.
Hmm.
Because they were third place last year, so maybe they can be in third in the West again. I still think it's going to be the Celtics championship to lose this year, to be honest. But
Hmm.
who knows? As far as my last takeaway, this one kind of just came out that
On
the
Friday
Dallas
night.
Cowboys plan to franchise tag Tony Pollard if the two sides can't work out a long-term deal by Tuesday.
Which means
Tell you what,
Pollard will hold out.
probably hold
So,
out until he gets a long-term deal. And
hmm.
honestly, I think after the season that he had with the Cowboys, has every right to hold out because he was 10 times better of a running back than Ezekiel Elliott. And the problem is, you have Elliott under this big-ass elusive deal, and he's not even as good as of a running back as he used to be. And you have a guy like Tony Pollard who is outrunning him, outperforming him, can actually, run a lot faster than
Frankly,
Ezekiel Elliott. And yet he's your backup, and you're not willing to give him that long-term deal. Of course, Jerry Jones, he doesn't like to open up the pockets very well. But if I'm Jerry Jones here, I would do everything you can to keep Tony Pollard and see about trading away Ezekiel Elliott. Because no offense to Ezekiel Elliott, he's just not that great anymore. He got the contract and think, well, I got the deal. I don't have to play as well because I already got the money. I'm getting paid either way. And, or, fortunately, you may have to let Tony Pollard walk.
yeah,
I think that cutting him would be better than keeping him because if you keep him under the franchise tag, that's like what? Annual contract of what? At least 20 over 20
14
million
or
a year?
15 million at least. But
And
they gotta, to me, they gotta get rid of Zeke at this point. Get out of that contract somehow, some way.
like, even if you trade away for a couple draft picks and like a player, that's still something. Then you can build, some more talent around that team that might desperately need it. Because you can add some more weapons on that offense. You can add some more weapons to that defense. I mean, Dallas, not the greatest team in the world, but they're not the worst team in the world either. I mean,
No,
they have a decent defense. They have a decent offense. I don't know.
all this to never make an NFC Championship game, but hey.
Hey.
But
Especially when you have Philadelphia as the top team in that division.
And Dallas fans can hate all they want. They know Philadelphia is the top team deep down.
Hey, at least you don't have a quarterback that, acts like he's worth $45 million and probably not going to get it. Oh, wait, sorry, you do have a quarterback that's like that, and you did sign him to that kind of stupid deal.
And
oh, wait, that's right.
And he played worse than Derek Carr in less games than Derek Carr. But hey, let's add, that he's worth it and he's top 10.
That division that just thinks that they're a hell of a lot better than they do. And I'm looking at you, Daniel Jones.
That's going to be a tough decision this week, of course. Keep in mind, before we go on to my takeaways, they got to franchise tag either Daniel Jones or Matt Barkley. And frankly, to me, it's got to be Matt Barkley, and not Danny Dimes.
Wait, the Giants have Matt Barkley or the Bills?
Or
I
I'm
thought,
sorry, Saquon Barkley.
oh, I was gonna
I'm
say, yeah,
sorry, I'm
Saquon
losing my
Barkley.
mind. Uh,
Personally, I would just say you franchise tag Saquon Barkley because I think he's just too valuable to lose.
yes.
Especially when I think didn't he have a career year or
I
something like
believe
that this
so. He
past
definitely had
season?
his best year since his ACL injury.
So I hate to say you had to outweigh the one over the other. Saquon helped that team get into the playoffs this year. I
Daniel
don't think they.
Jones did a good job running.
Yeah.
Um, frankly though, there's two quarterbacks in this draft that, if you're lucky enough to strike a deal with the Bears, you could land one of them.
Yeah, but the thing is if you. But the thing is if you're going to get the number one pick, I feel like you're going to have to give up a player. And I don't know who it would have to be. Because, speaking of quarterbacks, I don't know how true this is, but apparently Aaron Rodgers talked to his agents that he would rather go to the Raiders than the Jets. I don't know how true it is, but I was going to text you about that.
All
I'd be
this to
like,
be fourth in the division. Just saying.
all of this to try to team back up with Devontae Adams. It just. So,
Oh man. But all right.
other than that, I'm going to send it your way so you can talk about your takeaways.
Well, I figured since the XFL's not getting many viewers and we average like 2 a week, that maybe we can get two more sets of eyes on the XFL. All right, so we start off with the beginning of the season. Of course, they've opened up the first 2 weeks of the season so far. Ratings have come out, and let's face it, if The Rock's cooking, it's a bowl of cereal right now. That's it.
It just sucks that it can't come off the ground. I mean, it's like just like the USFL. It just when you have a juggernaut like the NFL, you're just not going to get the kind of viewership that you should. I mean, I hate to say it.
I mean, you're also going against racing. You went against the Daytona 500 for week 1, which you were going to lose that battle regardless. Being kind of an offset league there. But so far the DC Defenders, the St. Louis Battlehawks, and the Houston Roughnecks, they're undefeated entering Saturday's games. Or Saturday's game, I should say. Of course, what might be saving the XFL is the St. Louis market right now. St. Louis, for their home games, they have sold out of the lower bowl. And add in that now they are selling upper bowl tickets, and those are selling relatively quick. So, man, these St. Louis fans, they're sticking it to Stan Kroenke right about now.
Well, yeah, because they actually finally have a team for the first time in like what, 4 or 5 years.
And as they should stick it to them. Plain and simple. That was not a...
First off, the Rams should have never left St. Louis in the first place to go to LA, but...
Yeah, like, they had a fan base there. We have enough teams in California right now. We really don't need 4 teams in California. Well, 3 teams now with Raiders in Vegas, but yeah, just unbelievable turnout for St. Louis, and I'm glad for them, honestly. I'm rooting for them. Of course, A.J. McCarron, we were talking about before the show, he took a pay cut to go play in the XFL as opposed to be an NFL backup. And it's because he wants his kids to experience seeing him play professionally, which I can respect that.
I can too, because who knows? This might help him get back into the NFL as a starter too. So,
He'll be with the Carolina Panthers next year, replacing
I mean,
PJ Walker.
honestly,
But
McCarron wasn't a terrible guy. I mean, he was pretty all right with the. I mean, he damn near almost helped the Cincinnati Bengals make the playoffs before Joe Burrow became a thing,
yeah,
if anybody remembers. So, I mean,
yeah,
McCarron didn't have a terrible NFL career. He
he,
just didn't get a chance.
yeah. I mean, well, when he was with the um, Cincinnati Bengals, he probably gave him the best shot of beating the
And then he went
Steelers,
to
something that
Buffalo
Andy
and
Dalton never did.
right.
So, but as far as the ratings go, it's concerning. Honestly, it's tough to say it's not. And ESPN is trying to market it left and right, but it just doesn't look good, especially when you got games on FX. I think that's a little bit of an issue. Games should be on one of the three networks: ESPN, ESPN2, or ABC. Not on
Right.
some fourth, network that I don't believe has aired sports in years, and mind you, was under the Fox banner a few years ago.
Oh, FX.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I can't say anything bad about the marketing team. It's just they're not, and it's sad because I feel like, again, there's some great innovations in the XFL. I've told you multiple times I like the extra points, the 4th and the 15 instead of an onside kick. Amazing innovation. The Sky Judge, another fantastic one. So it's just a shame, honestly.
I just don't think a lot of people like to see newer things coming out. They're just so used to like the one thing every single year that like they just can't get behind something new.
I don't know. But it boggles my mind because the USFL did lousy last year. I mean, the USFL was garbage last year.
And it's coming back for a second run, I know.
And I'm not afraid to say that out loud that it was garbage. And if you liked that, I mean, I question you. But
Yeah, because we got the XFL that's going on right now. Then the USFL is supposed to start in April. Like it's weird because if you think about it, now you're gonna have football almost all year round.
And actually, I'm gonna change my one of my takeaways here. I'll tell you in a little bit what I'm gonna change it to, but and also add in that the XFL's dysfunction is now within as well. Quentin Dormandy, of course, he's the quarterback for the Orlando Guardians. He was reportedly had given away two other teams a playbook that the Orlando Guardians run and use. He was cut earlier on Friday and then got reinstated while they did an investigation into who, if he did it, why he did it, that sort of thing. All I can say is if he did that, that is, I mean, we've seen Belichick, set up spy cameras in teams' practice facilities, but this is a whole new low.
Hey man, you never know. He might just be the next great Patriots quarterback.
I don't think I'd want him there, but it's how I just got no words for this. I mean, how do you give this stuff away? Like, it's just the ethics of it that bother me more than anything else.
I don't know. It just seems so stupid to even give your playbook to other teams. That is true. Like, it's almost like you're purposely trying to lose every single
Yeah.
time and getting beat bad. Like,
But
what do you think that you're gonna get from it? Like
yeah,
nothing. There's no satisfaction from it. Unless you want to just go out there and like get your ass
yeah.
beat. Like,
So a lot of work for The Rock that's coming up is basically what we're getting at here. I want to get to my next takeaway here. And this involves women's basketball. And I hate that the only time we talk women's basketball, it has to be something negative. But 8 players were tossed from the Kentucky-Florida SEC tournament game the other night. Of course, what happened is one girl went up for the layup. And I'm assuming something was said on the way up or after the play because the Florida girl threw the basketball across the court. Technical foul right there. And then it started a big brawl, which got 8 players tossed. So now the big question is if they face any further discipline and should they for that behavior.
Yeah. Should be suspended if that, well, you don't really get, I don't know. Don't they technically get, sometimes they get paid or something like that. College players can get like paid or something like that to play. So, I mean, I don't think you'll get fined. If not, you should get probably suspended a couple of games, or not play in the tourney games or something like that. I don't know how it's all going to work out. I would say you should probably, even like get disqualified from tournament itself after that. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like the coach should discipline them here and say you're suspended the next game. At least the ones that were throwing fists and whatnot. So, I just want to know what was said or done that provoked this in the first place before I even say what should happen from there. Because I feel like, at the end of the day, the instigating is the worst part of this.
Right.
So, again, we'll see what happens. I hope we have better news to report from the women's basketball side in the future. Because, again, I hate that the only time we give attention to women's sports, this kind of shit happens.
No.
But my third takeaway, and I just wanted to say this real quick, of course, Jonathan Quick. This is big. Some big names moved in the NHL trade deadline. Jonathan Quick, no bigger than him. He was dealt to the Columbus Blue Jackets. A few hours later said, I'm not playing for them. I want another deal to get out of here. So now he is with the Vegas Golden Knights. So
wow.
Jonathan Quick, of course, for those who don't know, he's, I believe, a 2 or 3-time Stanley Cup champion. He was also with Team USA for a little bit for hockey as a goalie. Probably going to be a future Hall of Famer. And I'm sorry, what bugs me is on both sides. One, you're saying you're not going to play for a team after being dealt, but at the same time, having such a good reputation with your former team to the point of, you're going to get your jersey retired without question unless something's seriously wrong in LA. So you're going to get your jersey retired. And then on top of it, you helped win them multiple Stanley Cups. You are basically destined to close your career out there. If you're going to leave, that should be on your terms. It should be not just on your terms. You should have somewhat of a say in where you go. If you have any ounce of respect for that player, you should allow them to have some sort of say.
Right.
And if the deal's not worked out, but it has to happen, because keep in mind that I don't believe they can release hockey players during the season. Maybe work out a deal. Tell them, look, you've got to go. We need you, we got to get rid of you. This was our only option. I don't know. It'd be like, I'm trying to think. It'd just be like the Bulls if Michael Jordan didn't leave on his terms and they dealt him to, I don't know, the Clippers.
Right.
You just can't do that.
No. That's why you see a lot of players kind of stepping up and saying something, because they have a hell of a lot more freedom to say what they say, anything, or want to get dealt than they used to back in the day, where they would get dealt and would have no say in the matter at all.
Yeah. Well, what's going to be interesting as well is, mind you, of course, I'm sorry, the other big key to this, of course, Marc-Andre Fleury, who's been around just as long as Jonathan Quick has. Of course, Marc-Andre Fleury, I believe, is with Minnesota now, but he was a longtime Pittsburgh goalie. Should have been able to go out on his terms from Pittsburgh after winning 2 or 3 Stanley Cups there. Should have had a say in where he went. And thankfully, of course, keep in mind, he was released, or he wasn't released by the Penguins, but he was drafted in that expansion draft in favor of the Vegas Golden Knights. Okay, so he was drafted by the Vegas Golden Knights. Pittsburgh never put up a fight to let him, never put him on a reserve, so it was a you can't take him list. But, another issue of, he should have been able to leave on his terms, but at the same time, can't let him claim him. Or, they let him claim him, so not much can be said there. But I just have a problem with players, Now, don't get me wrong, people like Sean Watson, they shouldn't have had say in where they go. Sorry. If you go up and straight up request a trade and say, fuck this place, I don't want to be here, that's one thing. But if you've been there your entire career, you've been good to the franchise, like a Matt Stafford or a Jonathan Quick, you should have a say. That should be your parting gift.
No.
But we're going to part for just a couple minutes as we take our anchor break. Don't worry, we'll be back. Maybe unfortunately, for some of you, but we'll be back in just a moment with some talk about the NFL draft and here on Sunday Morning Tinkle. All right, so it's been a discussion this whole offseason, really, and since the pick was locked up, the Chicago Bears have a choice to make, as does every team, but them more so than others. The Bears are looking to potentially deal the number 1 pick, and it has now been confirmed that the Bears are fielding offers for the number 1 overall pick. Now, of course, we know it'll be one of the 2 quarterbacks, C.J. Stroud, or I believe oh my gosh, who's the other? I didn't pay attention to Alabama football this year, so.
I don't recall.
Bryce Young.
Yeah, Bryce Young.
So it's between Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud as far as who will be the number 1 pick. And, of course, the Bears had the choice. Do we want to go with one of those guys, or do we want to trade the pick and, stick with Justin Fields. And it looks like for now they will stick with Justin Fields at QB.
Which I don't know if that's the right decision for Chicago to really do, but hey, if you're gonna get a decent, player, a few picks in return for the number one pick, I mean, I guess it won't hurt, but
my issue is he's played 2 years now and hasn't progressed. I mean, you had the number one pick basically fall in your lap, and you got two guys who could be guaranteed franchise guys, so why not take a chance?
you really should. I mean, he hasn't had the superstar right away. He's somebody that can come in and back up Justin Fields for right now, and if Justin Fields doesn't work out, then you can go with one of those guys to start.
I don't know. But, you basically got great value Lamar Jackson or great value Jalen Hurts, depending on how you look at it, in Justin Fields. So, I don't know. I mean, if you didn't have the number one pick fall in your lap, and say you got like number 3, number 4, I could see him maybe saying, hey, let's give Justin Fields one more year. Because at that point, either, someone's going to draft Bryce Young or someone's going to draft C.J. Stroud somewhere in that, top 3. So both of them are gone, but maybe you say, hey, if they fall in our lap, good. If not, oh well. But I feel like you gotta put the pressure, I guess, on Jalen Hurts. You gotta put the pressure on him. Tell me he has to improve this year if we're gonna stick with them.
Right. You would have to, I mean, to be honest with you, with Chicago, you really do have to make a big decision on who you really want to have as your starting quarterback. I just don't think that Justin Fields is the answer for the number one quarterback for Chicago, but I mean, if you do stick around with Justin Fields, you better get some great assets in return for getting rid of that number one pick. That's all I can say.
Exactly. And of course, we'll see what happens. We're a few weeks, I think we're 2 weeks away, 10 days away from the league new year.
Right.
Of course, as the show gets released, it'll be 10 days, and that begins free agency. So we'll see, what deals are made, who goes where, if anyone goes anywhere. So we'll find out soon enough. But let's get to Tinkle on this. And this one's a good one. So Iowa and Indiana faced off in a, Big Ten rivalry. And Iowa was blowing out Indiana. And one Iowa fan thought he'd share the love with the Indiana crowd, blowing kisses out into the crowd before getting teed up and eventually just tossed out of the game, being a blowout. Come on, man, it's a blowout. What are you thinking? Tinkle on this, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I get it,
Right.
You're in the heat of the moment and you want to, kind of do like a taunt, but blowing kisses, that's kind of taking it a little too far, I feel like.
When you're up 20, it's just in bad taste at that point. I mean, but I guess if you're up 20 at the same time, and there's no better time to get a tech.
I guess so.
So,
What would have been funny as all hell is he does, player does that and then somehow Indiana comes back and gets the win. That would be some, something to talk about. But
yeah. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But the other thing I got to talk about, and I know you'll appreciate this one, of course. Hasaj Minaj, or Mihaj, was the host of the Daily Show this week, and he chose Giannis as his first guest. And of course, everyone knows Giannis is a very humble guy, doesn't want to say anything to upset anybody. Well, Assange did not find that to be very endearing. And of course, they did a little segment called, helping Giannis trash talk. And one of the things Giannis said, of course, which got lots of attention on shows like First Take and Undisputed. Hey, KD, how's about we work out together this off season, and I could show you, or I can help you get more strength to put an actual team on your back.
That's funny.
To which he got scolded by Skip Bayless. Basically, damn it, Bobby, if he wasn't so sensitive, he'd be, or he's so sensitive, or damn it, he's just so sensitive. He's gonna be real mad right now. Sorry, I thought I was gonna go for the King of the Hill meme for a second. I'm like, wait, doesn't make sense. I'm still tired, guys, so. Forgive me, but man, that was good. Now, if you saw the full clip, you'd know that Assange wrote those trash talking points, and Giannis, of course, immediately after, I'm just kidding, KD, I love you, you've got great skill, you're one of the best in the game, like, to which upset Assange even more.
Giannis is just a kind soul. I mean, I think that's just his Greek, background itself. So who really knows? But
see, what his energy is, what the rest of the league needs is like a slice of humble pie is what the league needs.
And just remember, Giannis never had to leave to go join up with anybody to win a ring either, so.
No, I mean, he had help along the way. He had some help along the way. But not to the extent that KD and, unfortunately LeBron need. And Steph
but if
Curry.
you think about it, he's done it all with the same team he's got drafted by. That's kind of what I was referring to.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah, he had, a guy like Chris Middleton and other players to help him out, but the Bucks just naturally are a great team. I mean, they're fighting with the Celtics to get the number 1 seed in the East, so they're doing something right.
Exactly, but with that, I think it's time to figure out what's coming up. Of course, I think you kind of talked about it, but in case you missed the beginning of the show, what's coming up on No Final Bell?
So while Marty talked about Battle in the Valley, New Japan Pro Wrestling, he talked about Impact No Surrender and AEW Dynamite and Rampage, which was this week's, it was last week's episode. We are going to, of course, later tonight, because, the show comes out Sunday, 9 a.m., So tonight is going to be Revolution, Chase Center, in San Francisco. So, as always, we're going to talk about that. We're going to be talking about that next episode. I want to say it's probably just going to be Revolution, maybe Impact Wrestling. I'm not too sure. To my knowledge, it might just be Revolution that we're going to be mostly talking about. But, go ahead and watch episode 72. It's just Marty, but I promise you will see my mug. You will see me back on episode 73, one way or another. I'll try to make it work out some way, even if I had to record it Monday, because, most of the week I'm closing, so.
Yeah, so be sure to tune in this week. It'll be a great episode, I'm sure. Yeah, so be sure to tune in. Sorry, just didn't want to cut you off there.
Oh, you're fine.
So, but all right, I guess I'll say what's coming up on out of turn 4. But I do have some breaking news that did come in from the racing world, and it's a big one. Chase Elliott was injured in a snowboarding accident this week. So,
Oh, wow. Really?
he is undergoing leg surgery Friday night. Will not race on Sunday in Las Vegas. He will be replaced by junior motorsports driver in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, Josh Berry. So that's a great opportunity for Josh Berry, and anybody who knows him knows he's in his early 30s. He's fought like hell to get to the point that he's at in his racing career, running his second full-time Xfinity campaign. So good for Josh. His best opportunity yet in the Cup Series, of course, he filled in at Spire Motorsports for a couple races. Didn't do so hot because Spire's like one of those bottom 3 teams in NASCAR. But this is a big upgrade for him, a big opportunity. He'll probably be in the car the next 2 to 3 weeks, I'd imagine, minimum. So, best of luck to him. We'll be talking about that on Tuesday afternoon, as well as recapping Vegas and recapping IndyCar's season opener at St. Pete. So we can't wait to bring that to you. We're on Tuesday, they're on Wednesday, give or take. So be sure to tune in to both shows this week, and I promise you there's no tournaments, there's no heavy workload this week, so we'll be back next Sunday with another edition of Sunday Morning Tinkle. But
Hopefully.
yeah, so until then, bye everyone.